Question 1 is like this, that given a vector which is minus 10 root 3 I cap plus 10 j cap, you want to find the angle with respect to the positive x axis. There are two ways we can do this. One is the formula based method. So we can see that given a vector ax I cap plus ay j cap, theta is tan inverse of ay by x. Okay, so in this case, theta is tan inverse of minus 1 by root 3. Okay, also we can see that a vector is having a negative x component and a positive y component. Okay, ax is minus 10 root 3, ay is plus 10. So this is showing us that cos theta is negative, and they're showing us that sine theta is positive. So that means we are in which quadrant? Theta is in second quadrant. Okay, so theta is between 90 and 180. So with that information in mind, we know that theta tan theta is equal to minus 1 by root 3, means that theta is 180 minus 30 or 150 degrees. So that is the formula for second quadrant. Okay, that tan 30 is 1 by root 3. So therefore tan 150 is minus 1 by root 3. So using this, so this is the formula based approach. Okay. So this is the primary method by which you should know how to solve this. So just make a note of this, and we'll also see the geometrical method of solving the same. Okay, Ruksar, I'll come back to assignment 3. Anything pending after completing assignment 4 doubts? Okay, so hope this method is clear. Now the alternate method is also we can solve this geometrically. Okay. So if we see the vector A, which is minus 10 root 3 I cap plus 10 j cap. Now we understand, if we want to understand this vector in the xy coordinate plane, then we visualize that its x component is minus 10 root 3. So that would look like something here, and its y component is plus 10. So that would look something like here. Okay, so this is our 10 j cap, this is minus 10 root 3 I cap. So their vector sum would give us the vector E in the first place to be like this. So this would be our vector E. Okay. So this is the angle theta that we are looking for. Now what we can do is we can simply say that let this small angle here be alpha or something. So that being the case, you can see from the trigonometry of that small triangle over there that you can see from the trigonometry of this small triangle that tan alpha is this side, which is 10 divided by this side, which is 10 root 3, so it's 1 by root 3. So you can see that alpha is 30 degrees. So that means theta, the angle with the positive x-axis, is 180 minus alpha, or theta is 150 degrees. Okay. So you'll realize in some time that there's not too much difference between this method and the first method. It's just the way you are expressing it. One, you're using the ASTC kind of rule. The other is you're using visualization in the coordinate plane, but it's one and the same thing. Oh, the answer given is wrong, is it? It should be C, isn't it? The answer given correct for the first question. Given as E. So please make a correction in the answer key. It should be C instead of A. Yeah, I use the last step is this, that just look at that, this particular triangle. This is the vector E, and this triangle. So this is a right angle triangle, and this angle is alpha, and this side is nothing but 10, and this side is nothing but 10 root 3. So tan alpha is perpendicular upon hypotenuse. Perpendicular upon base. So alpha is 30 degrees. That is the step. So therefore theta, the angle with the positive x-axis, is the complement of that. So you can see. Is it clear now? Okay, so you can use either of the two methods, but only thing is make a correction in the answer key. For whatever reason, the answer given is A, which is 120 degrees. It should not be 120, it should be 150, which is the answer C. Okay, very good. Let's come to question number 4 next. Okay, of the same exercise. Question 4 of this worksheet. So it's given that magnitudes of A and B are 20 and 15 units respectively. Okay, so magnitude of the vector A is 20, magnitude of the vector B is 15, and additionally it is given to me that A plus B plus C equals to 0. Okay, the resultant of A, B and C is a null vector. Then from this we have to find the magnitude of C. So this type of question you just deal in this way, that A plus B plus C is 0. This is the statement given to us, in fact. So given this, we can say that the vector C is minus of A plus B. So the magnitude of the vector C is the mod of A and B's resultant. Okay. Okay. Now we can see that this thing, mod of A plus B, in general can never exceed this and can never be greater than this. That we can understand from the fact that cos theta is between minus 1 and 1. Theta equal to 180 degrees. Cos theta is equal to minus 1. So magnitude of A plus B becomes root of A square plus B square minus 2AB. So that is A minus B whole square's square root. So that is magnitude of A minus B. Okay. And on the other hand, theta equal to 0, cos theta is 1. So magnitude of A plus B becomes A plus B, or sum of their magnitudes. Okay. So for this thing, the maximum possible value is this, the minimum possible value of this. So now that is the same thing that I can say for C, because magnitude of A plus B is magnitude of C. So now I can say that, okay, magnitude of C has to be less than equal to the sum of A and B's magnitude, so that is 20 plus 15, and cannot be greater than the difference of A and B's magnitude. So it's between 35 and 5. Okay. Now you have to check the options. Which of the options are falling within this range between 5 and 35, and which are falling outside this range? So you can see that option A is not possible because it's 4 units given. Option B is possible because 16 is between these two. Option C is 40, so again it's not possible. Option D is 50, so again that's not possible. So B is the only one which is correct. So out of the given options, it is possible that the value is B, whereas it is not possible the value is A, B, A, C, or D, because they are falling outside this range of 50 to, sorry, 5 to 35. Hope this is clear to all of you. Okay, very good. Now let's come to next up. Yeah, the first is, I mean, this is a common kind of thing in vectors. Let's come to 14 and 15. So if anybody has a doubt in anything before question 14, please let me know. We will discuss. Okay. Okay, so it's saying that P is a displacement of 10 meters towards east. Okay, question 5 and 7 also. Okay, I'll come back to 5 and 7. Let's finish this. So question 14 is saying that first of all, P is a displacement of 10 meters towards east. Then Q is a displacement 20 meters at 60 degrees north of west. Okay. And finally, R is a displacement at 60 degrees, 30 meters. Okay, so R is a displacement of 30 meters at 60 degrees south of west. So we have to find all these things, P plus Q plus R. That's one thing we have to find out. And we have to also find out P plus Q's magnitude, because the options are accordingly. Okay. So the best way to do this is convert this to component algebra. Convert to vectors expressed in component form. This is generally the easiest way of doing any question related to some difference, etc. of vectors, where some information is given to us about the vectors. So let's say we have taken our XYZ system, or rather our XY system, such that X axis is pointing from west to east. So this is our east direction. Y axis is pointing from south to north. So this is our northern direction. So now let us first visualize the vectors themselves in this, then we will write them in component form. So the vector p is 10 meters towards the east, so the vector p will look something like this. Okay. So 10 meters towards east. So I can write the vector as 10 I cap in meters. Okay. Now in the same instance, it's given to us that the vector q is now like this. It is 20 meters in magnitude, but it's at 60 degrees north of west. So north of west means from west you go towards north, but by an angle of how much? 60 degrees. So the vector q will be like this. This angle would be 60. Okay, and this is 20 meters. So now I want you to write q also in component form. It will be something into I cap plus something into j cap. So write that out. And similarly, the vector s or r, whatever, r is 30 meters, so longer in length, but now in the southwest direction. So in this diagram, the vector s or whatever r is symmetrical in this manner. This is 60 degrees south of west, but its length is 30 meters. So next step, what I want you to do, if you haven't done this question yet, is write down p, q and r in component form properly. Like I've written p and q, like that you also write r in component form, and then we can check each of these. So just use your normal component algebra concept and try to work this out quickly first. Right, so I'll just put up the values. You see, you should be getting this. So you should get q as minus 10 I cap plus 10 root 3 j cap, and you should be getting r as minus 15 I cap minus 15 root 3 j cap. So just verify this, you should be getting this. Okay, so now you can see that p plus q plus r become minus 15 I cap minus 5 root 3 j cap. So magnitude of p plus q plus r. Okay. This is what we should be getting as mod of p plus q plus r. Okay. Whereas similarly, P plus Q, just add these two, it'll come out to be 10 root 3 j cap. So interestingly, mod of P plus Q is also 10 root 3. It's a different vector because the direction is different, but this is also the case. Okay, so let's go back to question 5 after this. So hope the conversion to component form was clear to all of you. Now going back to question 5. So in this, given that vectors P and Q are of magnitude 12 and 16, an angle between them is obtuse. Okay. So magnitude of P is 12, magnitude of Q is 16, and the angle between them is obtuse. That means cos theta is a negative quantity. Okay, so that means magnitude of P plus Q, which is root of P square plus Q square plus 2pq cos theta. Now you can see that this quantity is negative. Okay, so because it is negative, so that means this whole thing is now less than root of p square plus q square. So because theta is obtuse, magnitude of p plus q is less than root of p square plus q square, because theta is obtuse, or cos theta is a negative quantity. So in this particular case, the magnitude of p plus q is less than 20, because root of p square plus q square, okay, is 20. Okay. And on the other hand, you can also see that this is always greater than mod of p minus q. Okay, because theta equal to 180 degrees, you get the minimum possible value, which is difference of p minus q. So over here, that difference is 4. So you put this and this together. Okay, so you can see that magnitude of the resultant p plus q cannot be less than 4, but at the same time it cannot be, actually it cannot be equal to, also it's less than 20, because it's clearly given to us that it's an obtuse angle, so it cannot be 90 degrees. It has to be less than 20 but greater than equal to 4. Now you can match the options. Okay, so this is question number 5. Next, let's move on to 6 and 7. So finish writing this down and move on to question 6. So in 6 also, what you can do is you can express the vectors p and q in component form. So if you haven't done question 6, just try it by the same method. It's quite easy. First, what you do is P and Q shown in the diagram, convert to component form, first step, okay, and then find what they've asked for, next step. Okay, so just go through this and try this out, people. Okay, good. So question 6, you will see that when you write the vector P in component form, okay, it was a vector like this, 10 at an angle 30 degrees. So the vector P in component form will become 5 root 3 I cap plus 5 j cap. Now similarly, the vector Q is like this with this angle 30 degrees and again the magnitude 10. So the vector Q in component form will become 5 root 3 I cap minus 5 j cap. So now you can just see that P minus Q is just becoming 10 j cap. Okay, that's it. So pretty simple. Okay, so that's sixth question. Next up, Ruksar has a doubt in seventh question. Okay, let's discuss seventh. So seventh, you can construct a vector triangle actually. That will be useful. So in question 7, it is given that the vectors P and Q are at theta equal to 150 degrees with respect to each other. Okay, that is one thing that is given. And secondly, what is given is that the resultant of P and Q is perpendicular to the vector P. Okay. So you have to find the ratio of magnitudes of P is to Q. Okay. This is very simple. Just construct a triangle according to the information given. So if you construct the vector triangle, you see that if this is the vector P, okay, the vector Q has to be at 150 degrees to it. So it has to be something like this. The vector Q has to be something like this so that this angle here is 150 degrees. Okay, this is the angle between them. And the resultant of P and Q, that would be this vector here. Okay. So this resultant vector has to be perpendicular to P. That means this has to be a right angle triangle. It's very easy to solve then. So the resultant of P and Q has to be at 90 degrees. Okay, so this angle you can see is 30 degrees, and the magnitudes of these sides are P and Q. So P is to Q we have to find out. So P by Q is base upon hypotenuse. So cos 30, so that is this. So P is to Q will be this much. Okay, so hope this question is clear. Next we'll do the ninth question. Similar kind of method. So just try it out. Okay, so let's move on to question 9. Yeah, Hidanshu, what you're not able to understand? Question 7 or question 9? Not able to understand question 5. Okay, fine. Let's go back to question 5. Okay, so it is given to you that theta is an obtuse angle. See, Hidanshu, the angle between P and Q is obtuse. That means cos theta is negative, na? So magnitude of P plus Q is root of P square plus Q square plus 2PQ cos theta. इसमें cos theta negative quantity है. So that means this is less than root of P square plus Q square. No, it has to be less than 20, not less than equal to. अरे बेटा एंगल ऑप्ट्यूस है. कॉस थीटा यहाँ पे पॉजिटिव नहीं हो सकता है, तो कैसे 28 होगा? 28 होने के लिए थीटा कितना होना चाहिए? 0 होना चाहिए ना, बट यहाँ पे थीटा इज गिवन टू यू ग्रेटर देन 90. Understood now? So you have to use the given condition here. Na? The given condition in the question is that theta cannot be less than 90. In fact, it's greater than 90. Okay, let's come to question 9. Okay, so in question 9, what is given to us? See, what we are not using theta over there, beta. किस क्वेश्चन की बात कर रहे हो आप? वापस फिफ्थ क्वेश्चन की बात कर रहे हो? Okay, so in fifth question it is given to us that magnitude of the vector p is 12, magnitude of the vector q is 16, and also given to us that theta is greater than 90 because theta is obtuse. Okay, this is the given information. So now what we can say about p plus q? P plus q का magnitude is root of p square plus q square plus 2pq cos theta. Okay. So that is root of 12 square plus 16 square plus 2 into 12 into 16 into cos theta. Now that cos theta, this will be a negative quantity, na? Cos theta is negative here. Okay, because theta is obtuse. Is it clear so far now? Have you understood this, Hitesh? Hitanshu? Okay. So then what we can say about this? If this is negative, ये पूरा वैल्यू अगर नेगेटिव है, तो ये जो लेफ्ट हैंड साइड है मॉड ऑफ पी प्लस क्यू, ये डेफिनेटली रूट ऑफ 12 स्क्वायर प्लस 16 स्क्वायर से छोटा होगा ना, because you're subtracting something inside the square root, so it is less than 20. Okay, all right, so understood how we are using the inequality, no? Okay, good, good. ठीक है, let's come to question 9. So question 9 is again a visual question. Geometrically the two vectors are given to us. So it is given that the vector E is a vector at some angle 60 degrees with respect to the x-axis, whereas the magnitude of vector is not known to us. So magnitude of A is not known, but component wise you can see it is okay. So the vector E can be written as E by 2 I cap plus A root 3 by 2 J cap, where E is an unknown quantity. So this is our first equation. Now along with that, it is given to us that the vector B is like this, and this one's magnitude is given to us. This one's magnitude is how much? It's 10. So the vector B, clearly you can see in the diagram, is minus 10 I cap. Now additionally, what is given to me is that a plus b is along the y-axis. Okay, this information is given to me. So we can say that a plus b is having 0x component and some unknown y component, where y is unknown. So this is now my second equation. Okay. So now compare this information. So left hand side में a plus b क्या हो जा रहा है? A plus b is the sum of these two. In fact, let's say this is my third equation. This was my second equation. So from the sum of equation 1 and 2, this information is. So substitute this here. So left hand side is this. Okay. And right hand side is this. So this implies that a by 2 minus 10 should be equal to 0. So a by 2 should be equal to 10, or a should be equal to 20, and y should be equal to, so that is 10 to. Okay. So this tells us now both the informations, that magnitude of vector A is 20 and the magnitude of A plus B is 10 to 3. If I want the vector A in component form, like this, and if I want the resultant in component form, sorry, it's 10 I cap plus G. So this is the complete solution of this. Okay. So make sure you've written this down properly. Finish this, then we'll come to question 15 next. Yeah, Aditi, I'll explain the last part. Write it down first. So see, what it's basically saying is that if A plus B is along the y-axis, it means that the x component of the vector A plus B should be 0. Should be 0. So A plus B should be 0 I cap plus some yj cap. Okay. Now A was what? It was the vector A by 2 I cap plus A root 3 by 2 j cap, and B was the vector minus 10 I cap. So A plus B is this thing, and they should be equal to 0 I cap plus yj cap. So A by 2 minus 10 I cap plus A root 3 by 2 j cap should be 0 I cap plus yj cap. So equate the two sides, na? So equate the two sides and you will get this condition. You get this condition, you will get this condition. Is it clear now? Okay, so Aditi, is this clear? Okay, good. Right, so let's come to question 15. Okay, now question 15 is saying that you have a given vector which is I cap plus root 3 j cap, and another vector which has components x and y, such that magnitude of the vector b is 4. Okay, and b is perpendicular to a. So from this we have to find x y. Okay, so the easiest way to understand this is think of this geometrically first. Visualize the problem. So in the xy plane, if you first try to visualize the vector e, so the vector e is I cap plus root 3 j cap. So you can see that it is at theta equal to 60 degrees with respect to x axis. Tan theta is root 3 and magnitude of e is 2. So it is a vector like this. So magnitude is 2 and this angle is 60 degrees. This is the vector e. Now see what is told about the vector b. B is a vector such that magnitude of b is 4 and b is perpendicular to e. So one possibility of b is that it could be a vector which is like this. एक ये possibility है. Okay, so vector B is at 90 plus 60 or 150 degrees with respect to x-axis. This angle you can see is 150. So B's x component would be 4 cos 150. So that is minus 2 root 3. And B's y component, that is plus 2. So the vector B could be j. Okay. Now another possibility is also there. And that second possibility is that the vector B could also be lying like this. Could also be in this sort of direction. ऐसा भी तो हो सकता है B, because this is also perpendicular. So this angle is 30. So this is also. Okay. So the second case, the vector B is at theta equal to minus 30 degrees, or you can say 330 degrees with respect to x-axis. So B's x component is 4 cos of minus 30, so that is 2 root 3, and B's y component is 4 sine of minus 30, that's minus 2. So in the second case, it's also possible that B is 2 root 3 I cap minus 2 j cap. Or you can see the two possibilities that I've written. Now you can just to differentiate the two, you can write this as B prime. Okay. So in other words, the vector B prime is negative of the vector B. They are equal and opposite vectors. So those are the possible solution sets for x and y. So just make a note of this, people. Okay, so finished with this. Hope you've understood this question, all of you. Okay, so next up we will learn some more things in theory in vectors before we come back to problem solving again. So first of all, we will see two more theorems to do with vector addition and vector subtraction, which are connected to the triangle laws that we had studied. Okay. So additional theorems in the geometrical approach to vectors. So the first thing here we will see is parallelogram law, okay, which is for addition or subtraction of two vectors. Okay. So if we have two vectors which are given to us like this, the angle between them is theta. Now previously we had seen how to calculate the sum and difference of the vectors from this. For the sum, we used to place them head to tail like this, and for the difference, you should take the first vector and add to it negative of the second vector. Okay. So this is the vector E, this is the vector B. The angle between them is this theta. So their resultant sum was this vector E plus B. Whereas similarly in this diagram, this is the vector E, but to this I've added the vector minus B. So it's opposite to that, became this one. So this is A minus B. Now we have seen this theorem before, so there's nothing new in this. Okay. And we know the related formula also. We know the concerned formula over here is that mod of A minus B whereas the formula in the first case for the sum of the vectors was that this is root of A square plus B square plus 2AB cos theta. Okay, and similarly we had a formula for this angle over here. Okay, now in certain cases we'll see that we can combine these two triangles to form a parallelogram. If I'm just coming to that, so before that let's look at the completion of these formulae. Tan alpha was B sine theta upon a plus b cos theta. Okay, so these formulae and these triangles are well known to us. Now the thing is that we'll see that in certain cases it is useful to combine these two figures to form a vector parallelogram. Okay. The two triangles drawn above can be combined to form a parallelogram. Okay, and this is convenient. Okay, so that brings us to the parallelogram theorem. So given two vectors, let's say a and b. Okay, step one is that we draw the vectors from a common origin, let's say o. Okay, so given those two vectors above, instead of drawing them head to tail, first step is we draw them from a common origin. Let us say this is the vector a, then we've drawn a and b both from the common origin, and this angle is theta. Okay. Then the next step is draw two parallel sides to complete a parallelogram. Okay, so we draw one parallel side like this, and one parallel side like this, and this just gives us the figure of a parallelogram. Okay, now we can see that the third step in this parallelogram, the diagonals represent the sum and difference. Okay, so how they represent the sum and difference? The so-called primary diagonal. Okay, that is from the common origin to opposite vertex. This represents a plus b. So in this diagram you can see now, if I construct this particular diagonal from the common origin to the opposite vertex, this actually represents a plus b, and this angle here represents alpha. And if I construct the secondary diagonal, okay, from b's head to a's head, that represents the difference. It represents a minus b. So now if I construct this diagonal here from b's head to a's head, that one now represents the vector a minus b, and this angle is beta. And you can understand that in this figure we have the two triangles that we have drawn earlier merged into one parallelogram. Okay, so you can see that in this parallelogram, if we have drawn the sum like this, then this triangle over here is the same as the vector sum triangle. Same thing. the same triangle. Okay. And similarly, in this parallelogram, if you drawn this secondary diagonal from here to here, then this triangle here is the same as the triangle we used to construct for A minus B. So in other words, it's just a convenient thing, that the two triangles have been combined to form one shape, which is the vector parallelogram, and these are the steps for doing that completion. Okay, so I'll just take you through the top from this and just write down these points. Okay, because this is going to help us solve problems faster and also visualize problems more easily. So it's important to understand this parallelogram law properly. Okay, so please make sure you understood the steps involved over here. Now, as I said, there's no new information over here. So, in this, obviously, the formula for this will be the same as the formula we've written above. So, for the difference, these are the formulae. For the sum, these are the formulae. But you'll see the advantage of using the parallelogram law is that in anything where we have to compare the sum and difference of two vectors, in any type of situation, any type of question, etc., where we are comparing the sum and difference, it's useful because in the same figure we are able to compare geometrically. Okay, so parallelogram law is useful to compare the sum and difference of two vectors. Okay, and now also we'll see that on the basis of parallelogram law we have some additional special cases and theorems. Okay, so additionally we'll also see special cases of the vector parallelogram. Now this is very useful, okay, because this is going to give us some very useful shortcut methods of solving questions. Okay, so I know most people love shortcut methods. Okay, so the first special case we'll see is that if vector A is perpendicular to vector B or theta is equal to 90 degrees, so you can see that the parallelogram becomes a rectangle. Okay, so the vector parallelogram so called now becomes a rectangle if the two vectors we are dealing with are perpendicular to each other. So that gives us certain special properties about the sum and difference, which we'll learn next. Okay. So this is the sum and this is the difference. Okay. Now we'll see the rectangle has special properties. Okay, and they are that the diagonals are equal in length. Okay. And alpha is equal to beta is equal to tan inverse of b by a. Okay, so diagonals make same angles with respect to the sides. Okay, so these two become very useful to remember and very useful to apply directly whenever we are dealing with perpendicular vectors. So this becomes a property for perpendicular vectors a and b, that mod of a plus b is equal to mod of a minus b, which is equal to root of a square plus b square, and the angle that each one of them is making with respect to the vector a is the same. It's tan inverse b by a. So let's see a quick example of the application of this. So given that vector A has a magnitude of 90 units, okay, and A plus B is equal to A minus B, okay, and the vector A plus B is at 53 degrees with respect to A. So find magnitude of B and the angle between A and B, theta, and the magnitude of A plus B. Okay, so see, whenever you come across a question like this, now instead of thinking in terms of formulae or component algebra or anything like that, just think in terms of, the question is giving you something in terms of sum and difference. The statement of the question is such only that there's a comparison between the sum of two vectors and the difference of two vectors. So what should come to mind immediately? Can I use the parallelogram law? Okay, and if I use the parallelogram law, how will I fit the condition which is given, that mod of A plus B is equal to mod of A minus B? So immediately you will think that, okay, in that vector parallelogram, the diagonal should be equal. So then by definition, it's not a parallelogram, it's the special case of the parallelogram, which is a rectangle. And once you understood it's a rectangle, the rest of the things are very easy to follow. So just work this out quickly. So you'll see that if you did this question by basic formulae, you would struggle a lot with it. But the moment you recognize that no, it's a parallelogram which has perpendicular sides, which is becoming a rectangle, the question becomes much easier because the above theorem becomes like a shortcut for solving it. So this type of thing is the usefulness of parallelogram law and its special cases. Now, this being the first special case, that if the sides are perpendicular, that means we are constructing a parallelogram using perpendicular vectors, then it has these special properties. So anybody got the answers? Yes, people, I'm waiting for the answers of this question. Okay, see, so the first thing to interpret in the question is that mod of a plus b is equal to mod of a minus b. This means that the vector parallelogram is a rectangle. Okay, so that means that a is perpendicular to b, and mod a plus b equals to mod a minus b is root of a square plus b square. Okay, and also it means that the angle made by a plus b with respect to a is this. Okay, means this. So here it is given to us that alpha is 53 degrees, this information. Okay, so tan 53 degrees is b by a. So 4 by 3 is equal to b by 90. This information is okay. So b is becoming 120. Okay, so the first part, magnitude of b is 120. Second, the angle between a and b is 90 degrees. And third, the magnitude of a plus b is root of a square plus b square. That will become 150 because they are 90 and 20. 90 and 120. So please note this down. I was expecting that you should be able to do this question and send me the answers. But anyway, write this down quickly. So hope this is clear, people. Okay. Next, special case of parallelogram law. If magnitude of the vector A is equal to magnitude of the vector B. So we are having a parallelogram of equal sides. So that is nothing but, by definition, that's a rhombus. Now this one is a very very useful one. So rhombus has special properties. The special properties of a rhombus are that the diagonals bisect each other, okay, perpendicularly. Okay, that is one important thing. And the diagonals bisect the angles between the sides. Okay, so let's visualize the vector diagram, then we'll understand. So what this says is that the moment the two vectors we are adding, or the two vectors we are using to construct the parallelogram, are of equal side length or of equal magnitude. Okay, so this is the vector A and this is the vector B. Now this is equal to this. Okay, magnitude of A is equal to magnitude of B, which is, let us say, A. So the moment that happens, the vector parallelogram that we will construct is becoming a rhombus, and therefore it will be according to the special properties of the rhombus which we have just been discussing. So part of that special property of rhombus is that when I draw the diagonals, which in this case are the sum of the two vectors, okay, and the difference of the two vectors, so the vector A plus B and the difference of the two vectors, which is the secondary diagonal like this, A minus B, they are bisecting each other perpendicularly. So this property basically means that A plus B is perpendicular to A minus B. This happens only in the case where mod A is equal to mod B. Okay. And secondly, they are angular bisectors. They bisect the angles between the sides. So that means this angle will be equal to this angle. So alpha will be equal to theta by 2. Okay. And likewise, this angle will be equal to this angle. So beta will become 90 minus theta by 2. So these become the special properties of vectors which are of equal magnitude. So these are the special properties of two vectors A and B when the magnitude of A is equal to the magnitude of B. So just make a note of this, people, and you'll see that this is extremely useful. This special rhombus property is going to make problem solving a lot simplified in certain cases, even more than the rectangle special case. Okay. Now also we will see another shortcut formula for this case. Magnitude of a plus b will be given by 2a cos theta by 2, whereas magnitude of a minus b will be given by 2a sin theta by 2. Okay, this is also part of these properties. Now we'll see how this works out in just a moment. So that's also going to come from the geometry of that rhombus only. We'll be able to figure this out in the geometry of the rhombus. So I'll show it to you. Just note it down first. Okay, so next up, let's see how this formula actually comes. These two formulae that I've written in the end. So you can understand them very easily from a geometrical construction in this diagram. So in this diagram, if I just additionally make use of the fact that for a rhombus, the diagonals bisect each other perpendicularly. So if they bisect each other, that means this side is equal to this side. So if this is x and this is x, and similarly this side is equal to this side, this y and y. Okay, so use the fact that the diagonals bisect each other at right angles. Okay, and of course we've already used the fact that they are the angular bisectors. So now just concentrate on any one of these triangles, any one of these four triangles. So trigonometrically in that triangle you can see that that triangle, this side is a, this side is y, this side is x, and this angle is alpha, where alpha is theta by 2. Okay, so you can see that x by a is cos alpha and y by a is sin alpha. So x is equal to a cos alpha, that is a cos theta by 2. So therefore magnitude of a plus b, which is this full diagonal, is 2x. So in other words, magnitude of a plus b is 2a cos theta by 2. Similarly, from there you can see y is a sin alpha. So that is a sin theta by 2. Okay. So the secondary diagonal a minus b, in the diagram you can see is 2y. So a minus b is 2a sin theta by 2. So this formula and this formula are like additional shortcut tricks for solving problems. Okay, so just make a note of this, people. Okay, so let's now do an example based on this. Given that magnitude of a plus b is 10 root 3 and e minus b is 10 and e plus b is perpendicular to a minus b. Okay, find mod a and mod b. Theta, the angle between a and b. So just try this out. Okay, so anybody got the answer for this? Yeah. So let's look at this. So it's given that e plus b is perpendicular to a minus b. That means the rhombus, I mean the parallelogram formed by a and b. Hitanshu, you missed the whole point of the question. Okay. Rhombus means magnitude of a has to be equal to magnitude of b. So the vector parallelogram has perpendicular diagonals, so that means it's a rhombus. Okay. And that means that mod A is equal to mod B is equal to A, suppose. Okay. So A plus B is 2A cos theta by 2. A minus B is 2A sin theta by 2. Okay. So this thing is 10 root 3. This is 10. So now if you just divide these two equations, you will get tan theta by 2 is 1 by root 3. That means theta by 2 is is 30 degrees. And that means theta is equal to 60 degrees. Okay. So that means 2A cos 30 is 10 root 3, equation 1, or 2A sin 30 is 10, equation 2. So either way A is equal to 10. Okay. So magnitude of A is equal to magnitude of B is equal to 10, and theta is equal to 60 degrees. This is the final answer. So this is what you are supposed to analyze in the question. I'm just giving you the theorem above, and from the theorem you have to just directly apply the concept. Okay, so anyway, hope you understood the application here. So we have a lecture tomorrow directly, I think. So we will discuss more about the applications and things. So till then, just make sure you go through today's session and also cover all the assignments up to assignment number 4, which we are discussing today. Any questions that might be left out here and there, try to cover them up. Okay. So that's it for today's session, people.